All right, theme song. Eastbound and down, mic it up and podcast. Two cousins trying to make a thing.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Our Dads Are Brothers, a TV and movie review podcast. I'm Nathan Tracy, along with my co-host.
I'm Bad Tracy. Today's episode, we're diving into the topic of the pre-MCU Marvel movies.
I'm really excited for this one. There's more than people realize, I think.
Yeah. Before we start, I do want to mention we are excluding Spider-Man and the X-Men movies from this list because I feel they're big enough franchises by their own.
I've not seen many of these movies.
I have seen almost all of them.
Very good.
So this might be a one-sided topic. What have you been up to lately? What have you been watching?
Trying to watch some of these movies. I watched Daredevil. Been watching Friends.
Oh, okay. How far are you on that?
In the middle of season 6.
Oh, that's good. Speaking of season 6s, I was watching the TV show Reba, and you told me that they were all on Hulu because I don't own season 6 on DVD. Well, you're a liar, mister, because only season 1's on Hulu.
I'm sorry about that. I thought it was there.
No, that's okay. So I've been watching Better Off Ted. That's my show that I've been going through.
Never seen it.
It's very good. I watched it when it was on TV. It's like main run, and I'm watching it now.
Should we get into it?
I think so. It's May the 1st.
Cool. Well, first I'm going to throw out our email. If you have any comments, show suggestions, feedback, reviews, ourdadsarbrothers@gmail.com. All right, it's May 1st. How about some birthdays?
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so today we got Tim McGraw, Wes Anderson, Jamie Dornan, Jamie Dornan, Julia Benz, Julia Benz, and James Murray. You want to pick a highlighted one?
I'm going to pick Wes Anderson, obviously. He is 53 today. Did you know this?
Yes.
He was born in Houston, Texas.
I do have a fun fact for you. His college roommate was Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Together, they co-wrote the screenplays for Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, and The Royal Tenenbaums. All three very good movies.
Definitely. Bottle Rocket was that all three Owen Wilson brothers? Oh, sorry, Wilson brothers?
I don't know if Andrew Wilson was actually in the movie. I think he worked on it, though.
Okay.
I don't know what he's actually been in. He's unrecognizable to me. This is off topic, but I actually like Luke Wilson more than Owen Wilson.
My headphones unplugged.
Oh, sorry. I said I actually like Luke Wilson more than Owen Wilson.
I agree for most things. I feel like Luke Wilson in Shanghai Noon, probably not a good movie.
No, yeah.
Owen Wilson, Jackie Chan, a great combo.
They are. Getting back to Wes Anderson, though, he's known for directing such films as Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is, I think, one of only 2 movies of his that I haven't seen. And then Moonrise Kingdom, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Isle of Dogs. So some very good movies, I think. He's a solid director. Also, I want to take a minute. I'm going to look him up really quick because he has funny parents' names, and I wanted to read them to you.
Yeah, I remember he was born in Houston, Texas.
His mom is Texas Ann Anderson.
Oh my gosh.
And his dad's name is Melver.
I'm going to be thinking about that.
Melver, Melver. His parents have some weird names.
That is going to be what I'm thinking about eating cereal tomorrow morning.
Texas Anderson could be Dallas Cialis' rival.
It's possible.
What are we talking about today? We already know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think we're talking about giraffes.
This is not the giraffe show. This is a different podcast that I'm scheduled to be on soon. Our main topic of choice, we are talking about the pre-MCU Marvel movies. Now, you wanted me to take the lead on this one since you haven't seen many of them. So I took it upon myself to create an order, a talking order, I think, that we can bounce around on. Would you like for me to start?
Please.
All right, so we're starting with the Captain America movies. Now, a lot of people don't know there's 3 of them. Technically 4 if you count the 1944 one, but I'm not counting it because it's a bunch of serials, and it was also from when Marvel was named Timely Comics. So it's a different company altogether. So the main ones, we got Captain America from 1979 and Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, also from 1979. These were television movies, I'm pretty sure, and they're pretty fun and cheesy.
They definitely were. Didn't they also come out a day after each other?
No, one was earlier in the year and one was later, but they were both shown back to back with 1 hour. So they're 2 hours long and
Okay,
they each had an hour, 2 nights.
I
But
see. Perfect.
this one's most well known for his shield is the windshield of his motorcycle. It's like he'll ride up on a place, get off, and his windshield will come off, and then that's what his shield is.
That is cool.
Yeah. And Christopher Lee, he is actually in the sequel, which is cool because Christopher Lee is Sauron from Lord of the Rings. He's also in Dracula and tons of stuff.
Sure.
So
He's a cool guy.
he's very cool. He was in a metal band when he was like 98.
Nice.
Then following up on that, there was Captain America, which was released in 1990.
In the Philippines, it was released as Blood Match, which
Terrible name.
yeah, I just don't understand.
How do you
I've
get
seen
that from Captain
I've seen
America?
some foreign titles that it like makes sense, but I just don't get this one. Maybe Captain America's battling Red Skull and it was a blood match. I mean,
Maybe. A fun European title is Marvel's The Avengers from 2012.
Mhm.
In the UK, it was renamed Marvel's or Avengers Assemble because in the UK they already had the Avengers TV series with the spies.
Right, with
So
the umbrellas and the top
yeah,
hats.
yeah. So that's interesting. Do you have anything to say about the Captain America movies that you have not seen?
Well, I did a little research. I saw some trailers. I actually saw half of the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think I actually have them literally right behind me.
but I was watching the trailer for the 1990 version, and there was a scene where he caught the shield coming at him.
Yeah.
And right when he caught it, you just saw the shield be all flimsy and almost bend when he hit his hand, and I was just like, "That's some good quality shield right there."
They made it out of like Jello.
Yeah, I was excited. It was definitely just like cardboard.
Yeah, that's the one. I know I've seen the 1990 Captain America before, but I haven't seen it in years. So
I definitely have not.
following up on that one,
Yeah, and it takes a little turn.
yeah, for 1986, there was Howard the Duck. Now, this is a garbage movie.
But it's a cult classic.
It is a cult classic. A lot of people do like it, but
Yeah.
Does
Does anyone know why? No.
I don't. It's got
mean,
Leah Thompson.
the parts that sticks out. I mean, I was young when I watched it, but it was when he's looking at the Playboy in the centerfold and everything.
Yeah,
It's probably because I was young when I watched it, but
and you were like, "Ooh, Playboy."
ooh, Playboy.
Leah Thompson, who I think is the most spectacular actress from the 80s. She's great and everything. It's also got Tim Robbins and Jeffrey Jones. Jeffrey Jones went on to do some not so great stuff later in his life, but he's also known from Ferris Bueller. And it also had a cameo from Pat Smear, who's the guitarist from the Germs and Foo Fighters. Oh yeah, also Nirvana. He was their touring guitarist for a year.
You're a huge fan of Jeffrey Jones.
I am not. He became a pedophile later in his life.
Okay, I got a fun fact about Howard the Duck. It was written by Willard. I'm gonna butcher these. Yuck. It looks like, and Gloria Katz, directed by Willard. Both of them went to filming school with George Lucas.
That's pretty interesting.
He actually stepped down as the head of Lucasfilms to pursue producing films. He actually, I believe, co-wrote American Graffiti with them, and then moved on to executive producer on this movie with his old college buddies.
I don't have much else to say about Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck was nominated for 7 Razzies.
As it should be, honestly. That was not a great movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somewhere along the line it has been deemed as one of the worst movies of all time, or at least of that year. That is a thing.
Yeah, it definitely has been. I think it maybe gets a pass from me because I like bad superhero movies and it's goofy enough and stupid and has Tim Robbins in an early role and stuff like that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely like older. I mean, even if I don't like the movie, I like that they're trying things like this.
Yeah,
this crappy duck costume. They're doing it like,
and I think it's one of those movies that will always have a cult classic feel to it because it has George Lucas attached to it.
Agreed.
So like, there's always going to be those Star Wars people who are like, "What else has George Lucas done? Oh, Howard the Duck, what?"
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's how I found it.
Are super fans, do they care much if it's just an executive producing?
I don't know, as long as someone's worked on it.
Because like speaking of producing and stuff, Steven Spielberg has done a huge amount of animated shows. Everything from I believe Tiny Toons to
Animaniacs.
Animaniacs. Yeah.
Yep, Pinky and the Brain.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you know that going back to the duck costume,
He did Freakazoid too.
the crappy duck costume,
Yeah.
6 actors gave physical performances in that costume, or at
That's
least
crazy.
multiple costumes. So yeah.
That's crazy.
All right, that was the most you'll hear about Howard the Duck on any podcast. Now let's go on to a bit of Marvel history.
Yeah. I think the one that started it all, really.
Yeah, I think so, because this Captain America's, they're their own thing. I'm not going to say they're crap, but
Yeah,
they're their own.
and
They're their own thing.
I mean, the first one, you can probably guess what we're going to be talking about from what I say, but the first one came out in 1998, 2 years before the first X-Men movie. So I think the quality of this one really set up Marvel for like, I mean, it wasn't produced by Marvel, but it set them up for like, hey, these characters can actually make money.
The next one is the Blade trilogy.
Blade, Blade 2, and Blade Trinity.
That is correct.
Trinity is another word for 3. New Line Cinema is who produced it. They took a gamble. I can give you a little bit of history behind these movies, if you'd like.
Yes,
Off the
please.
top of my dome. So Marvel in the mid-90s was going through a huge crisis. They were going bankrupt because their comic books were not selling because of multiple storylines they had going on that just weren't that good. And so they were trying a reboot in mid-1995 or maybe 96, and they were losing lots of money. So basically what they had to do was sell off a lot of their more popular characters for movies, which is why there's movies we'll get to later on in this list that happen.
Sure.
But that's like why X-Men was made and why Spider-Man is owned by Sony, because Marvel had to sell everything. These movies, like specifically this one, came out at a time like right after Marvel just had to unload a lot. And so this was a real gamble for them of like, holy shit, we can actually maybe make some money back doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think without this example of the movie Blade, I think Marvel maybe wouldn't have been a company anymore today. And we maybe not even have the MCU. So that's crazy to think about.
It's possible. And one crazy thing about Blade, one of many crazy things, New Line Cinema, like you said, first took a gamble. Second of all, they just didn't really know what to do with it. Like originally, they were thinking of making kind of like a spoof type movie. At one point, the studio even asked if Blade should be white.
That would be terrible.
Great. Well, then they were talking about instead of Wesley Snipes, maybe Denzel Washington or Lawrence Fishburne. Like, it's just crazy to think, like, what if they went in a different direction with this? But
Denzel would have been crazy to think about.
it would have been. It would have.
He's a great actor, but he's never done a superhero role or anything.
Player did want Snipes all along. Like, he knew what he wanted.
Okay.
But yeah, New Line was just like, what about this? What about this? It's like,
Well, then after Blade, which I have not seen Blade in a long time, I do like Chris Christopherson in those movies. I think he's really good. But moving on to Blade 2, this was directed by Guillermo del Toro, an actor I'm very fond of. He's gone on to direct like the Hellboy movies. He's done the first Pacific Rim. He did that movie where the lady has sex with a fish. I can't remember the name of it right now. It won Best Picture though. I thought it was phenomenal. The Shape of Water. That's what it's called.
Now, is he brothers with Balsinio?
I do not think so.
Or did I
Benicio del
butcher that?
Toro.
Who?
Benicio.
Correct.
Yeah, I do not think they are related. Blade 2's got Triple H in it, and Donal Logue is either in that one or the first. I can't remember. Donal Logue is another actor who's in 2 of these movies. And Blade 3, Blade Trinity, has Ryan Reynolds in it. This is Ryan Reynolds' first superhero movie. He's gone on to do a lot of them.
Also, Jessica Biel, I believe.
Yes. And Trinity was the first to be directed by David Goyer, who was the writer, as you mentioned. He went on to work on The Dark Knight and all those. And Blade Trinity notoriously kind of sucks. It's kind of a bad movie. And a big part of that is due to the on-set drama between Wesley Snipes, who during the making of that, Patton Oswalt has a really good story about it if you ever want to look it up. But during the making of that movie, Wesley Snipes went a little overboard, and like he would only refer to himself as Blade. He wouldn't take any direction as Wesley Snipes. He would refuse to talk to anybody on set and only write post-it notes and just post them to people. And things like that. Like Patton Oswalt goes into detail on it because he was in that movie. So it's very funny if you ever want to look it up.
Oh, we're gonna go back in time for this next one.
Yeah, we are.
All the way back to 1978.
1978, we had the first Doctor Strange movie.
Was it Stephen Strange?
It is pretty Stephen Strange. This movie is also really bad.
I was about to say, how was it?
Yeah,
No?
I made my brother watch this one with me. I forced him to watch it, and it's terrible. It's a television movie that was supposed to be the pilot for a Doctor Strange show, and it was going to be on CBS at the time because they also had the Amazing Spider-Man show and the Incredible Hulk, and so they were looking for another one. And this movie just was so bad that CBS was like, "We're gonna pass. Thanks though.
Well,
Thanks for trying."
that was a big thing back in the 70s. They did a lot of TV movies as
Yeah.
essentially a pilot.
Yes.
They did a lot of movies like that, and as you can see, a lot of flops. There's not a lot of series that following these movies.
Yeah. But it does make it easy for like someone like me who's a collector. You know, I buy a lot of shows or whatnot.
Sure.
And shows from that period, I can watch the first episode, which is usually a 2-hour pilot, and then be like, did I like it? If I did, I'll continue the series. If I didn't, hey, I can say I watched it.
Right.
The thing that makes it so bad is it is interesting because I think what they do with the character is pretty cool, but the movie has so little of Doctor Strange in it. Like the first hour of this hour and a half movie is basically just like you're watching a medical show where it's just them talking about doctor stuff.
Sure.
And then like the last half hour, there's like a witch who's played by Jessica Walter from Arrested Development. She kind of just shows up and then he magically gets the powers and then the movie ends. Like there's no fight scene or anything. Like the last 5 minutes of the movie are him becoming Doctor Strange, and then they're like, watch our show. That's never gonna happen.
To be honest, that's on par for 70s movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Even I was looking up some of the critics at the time for research about this, and critics wrote at the time, they were like, this is boring. You need to try harder. Even one review was like, we're in 1976. Special effects should be better than this by now. It's like
that's great.
It's brutal.
We're gonna rewind real quick. One of the top comments I saw for the 1990 Captain America on the YouTube trailer I looked up. Top comment was, "This is 1990. This movie looks like it's from the 70s," and it straight up did. Like it was just horrible. Timber. All right.
I just knocked over my halo light and my chair just fell backwards.
Oh my gosh. All right, moving on for Doctor Strange. Let's get back in the DeLorean.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna go forward.
I'll let you take the lead on this one.
All right, so we're gonna go all the way up to Daredevil.
2003.
2003 Daredevil. That's correct. You know, besides Blade being 2002, 2004, like you said, the beginning of the newer Marvel movies.
Yep.
This is right between the two. I believe it came out on Valentine's Day. Everyone took their sweethearts. No, sorry, that might have been Elektra. One of the two came out on Valentine's. Fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Elektra was in Daredevil.
Yes.
And that was Jennifer Garner.
Yes.
She does some hair commercials now, I believe.
Yeah. Her and Ben Affleck met during this movie and they got married later on.
He's with J-Lo.
Yes.
Which did they meet on a movie set too?
I don't know if they met on a movie set, but they did Giggly together, and that movie's garbage.
Because I know they dated twice now, and moving.
Isn't he dating Anna de Armas?
Right now, he's engaged to J-Lo.
Again? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Here's a whirlwind. Also, this is totally off topic. Ben Affleck has the worst back tattoo of all time.
I don't know of any tattoos he has.
Oh, Google Ben Affleck Phoenix tattoo. Just Google it right now. No, this is gonna be on the show.
I was gonna say let's pause so the listeners can too.
I'll talk about some Daredevil facts as you look this up. I think a fun thing from this movie is it's Scott Terra. He's the actor who plays the young Matt Murdock at the beginning of the movie. He's also the kid who was in Dickie Roberts, former child star with David Spade, and he's also in Eight-Legged Freaks. I think he's a fun child actor. And then Jon Favreau, who's in this movie, he went on to play Happy Hogan in the MCU, and he directed Iron Man 1 and 2. And he plays Foggy Nelson in this movie. So I thought that was interesting.
So yeah, this tattoo's something else. It's very colorful, I'll say that.
It is something else. It is very bad.
I mean, it looks like a parrot that evolved or something.
Jennifer Garner has a really good quote about it too. When it was after he got photographed with it for the first time, and she had a quote that was like, "Yeah, I divorced him, and I guess he went and got a shitty back tattoo."
That's awesome.
Do you have anything? You just watched Daredevil for the first time.
Tell
me, what are your thoughts on it?
overall really liked it. I mean, there was a few parts,
Yeah.
not so
I,
much.
I think this is a movie that holds up somewhat. It's very fun.
Yeah, I mean, the critics do say that Ben Affleck was kind of mild mannered acting
Yeah.
wise.
His
There
performance could
was
definitely be a little stronger.
there was plenty of times where he was just emotionless, just standing there staring
Yeah.
at you.
I do think he plays blind really well though. Like he's got that dead look in
Does
his eyes.
exactly. Yeah,
But
they did a good job with the contacts.
yeah,
Yeah,
this is one thing that I think Charlie Cox does better in the Daredevil series though is because you're doing the dead eyes, you have to emote more with your mouth. And I think Ben Affleck doesn't I don't think he's as skilled as an actor at that point in his career to where he was
sure.
doing that. I think you asked how long this was into Ben Affleck's career. I believe it was 10 years. So I think he started in 1993 with Dazed and Confused. I also really like Kingpin in this movie. Michael Clark Duncan is great. His performance is really good, and the fight scene that they have at the end of the movie where Daredevil, turns on the water, I thought that was just stellar.
I
Um,
almost threw up because of it was amazing, but it's
it's
gruesome.
jarring. This is one of the earliest I remember, at least, when they changed the skin color of a character for a modern superhero movie.
Sure,
And I think it works perfectly in this movie. His performance
it
is
did.
great,
Yeah,
but it started my love of changing the race of superheroes to piss off nerds. It is
sure.
something we'll mention a couple more times throughout this topic, and I just think that is a great thing. One thing we didn't talk about yet: Kevin Smith has a cameo in this movie. He's the
Not in the
director
director's
of
cut.
no, it's in the normal theatrical. He's
Okay.
the guy who does the autopsy or whatever, or the cop. I think the cop brings him the pictures or whatever. His character name is actually Jack Kirby, who's one of the creators of Daredevil. So that's a cool
Sure.
little nod. But
Nice.
yeah, Kevin Smith is the obviously the director of like Mallrats and Clerks and
Yes,
stuff.
he is a
Um,
huge comic book
yes,
enthusiast.
him and Ben Affleck actually worked on a Daredevil comic together before the making of this movie. So when Ben Affleck got casted, he invited Kevin Smith to cameo.
Very cool. Kevin Smith is so into comics. Do you know his daughter's name?
Yeah, Harley Quinn. This is totally off topic, but one time Kevin Smith liked my tweet on Twitter, so that's a cool little thing.
You're friends now.
We are the best of friends. I'm the
All
J to
right.
his silent Bob.
So, like I said, Elektra was in Daredevil.
Yeah,
Very next movie we're going to talk about,
it was Elektra,
Elektra.
2005.
Yeah.
Garbage, absolute garbage movie.
Jennifer Garner didn't even want to do it. She
No.
only did it because of contract.
Yep.
Like, I don't like her green eyes as Elektra. I think they're very green.
I
And
honestly do not remember.
no, since I just watched it,
Oh, okay.
it's like bright green, like not even normal eye color, which
Did
is
you
fine.
did you notice who her dad was in Daredevil?
Yes, he was. I don't know the actor's name, but he was in Mr. Deeds.
Yep, he's Cecil.
Cecil.
That's his
That's
character.
right.
I don't know his actor name, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
I always think of him from that.
he dies. Spoiler
Spoilers for all of these.
if you've not seen this 2003 movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, 2004. Wait, oh,
No,
3.
Daredevil's 2003.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Elektra, have you seen it?
I won't. I
You
have
don't
not.
need to. You
No.
literally do not need to. It is terrible.
All
The
right,
one
next
thing,
movie.
the one thing you should do Google is it's definitely on YouTube. There's a deleted scene where Ben Affleck cameos as Daredevil in the Elektra movie, but they cut it out. So it's just a deleted scene on the DVD. But that's the only thing worth watching. But otherwise, that movie is just so bad. And it kind of killed female-led Marvel movies for over a decade because they never tried one again until what, Captain Marvel?
And then from then on, it just took off,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, some are hit or miss, but I mean, so are all movies.
Most movies are bad when you think about it. There's so many more bad movies than there are good movies.
All right, after Elektra,
Yeah, because I don't have much to say about it. The movie's just bad.
we're gonna move on to Hulk.
Yeah, from director Ang Lee, 2003.
That was the final director. Came out in
Yes.
2003, like you said. Original production started in 1990. It went through a handful of directors. I don't
Yeah,
know how
that
the
it did.
I don't have the exact number, but rewrite after edition. Uh,
It was in production hell for over a decade.
it had some notable directors on it. Didn't finish with them clearly, but J.J. Abrams once took a crack at it,
I don't even think he was directing at that point either.
wasn't he?
Because
Huh.
2003, I think he was working on Alias, the TV show
Okay.
Alias. So that might have been his directorial debut if he would have done it.
And that is something worth watching if you like Jennifer Garner instead of Elektra.
That's so true. Even 13 going on 30 is better than Elektra. I think it is kind of bad, but at the same time, it has its charms to it because I think Eric Bana actually does pretty good as Hulk. I think Hulk looks terrible in this movie, though. He looks too cartoonish.
Sure.
But one cool aspect of this movie, I think Ang Lee really tried to get the comic book aspect of it. Like a lot of the transitions are like pages turning or switching from one panel to a different panel, like a comic book would. So that's kind of cool. But overall, I don't think this movie's all that great.
I mean, it's early on. It's early 2000s. You know, they
Yeah.
haven't done any, like, how can you make this look real back
Oh,
then?
you couldn't
Yeah,
at that time.
exactly.
But I think the only thing that brings it down is you could have made the Hulk a little darker shade of green. He's
I
too
agree.
bright in that
Sure.
in that movie.
It did really well in theaters, though.
It did.
Because I remember, like, you know, I was only 10 years old when this came out, so I remember the promotion.
I was
They
8.
had green chocolate syrup. It was on like everywhere.
They
Like
had Hulk
they
shaped
really
mac and cheese.
exactly they really pushed it, and it really worked. So
Yeah.
they did well.
Hulk's always been a really popular character for some reason. I've never really gotten into him as much as it seems like
I
a
think
lot of
it's
people do.
because everyone that works 9 to 5 understands.
They're like, "Grrr." I wish I could throw a tank at a helicopter right now.
After Hulk, what do we got? We got Baywatch. Oh, sorry, Night Watch. Nope.
Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. from 1998, starring David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. I watched this in preparation for this episode.
I listened to about 10 minutes of it on YouTube. I was working, so I couldn't watch it.
Okay.
The one line that stuck out with me is when he walks up to this guy and he goes, "You're one of those guys that clings to the wall no matter how many times they flush." And I was just like, what a line.
Yeah, the movie had some fun one-liners, but a waste of 90 minutes, in my opinion, was not very good. Though I did like David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. I thought he pulled it off pretty well.
David Hasselhoff with an eye patch.
Yeah, it works,
well.
man.
It does.
I like the Hoff.
With the long coat and everything. Oh, yeah, I dig him.
I actually have a fun movie right here, Killing Hasselhoff. It's from 2017, and it's about two guys who decide to kill David Hasselhoff for the extortion money, and it just goes hilariously wrong. It's got Jim Jeffries in it.
The writer of Nick Fury, like we spoke about earlier,
Yeah.
wrote all the Blades.
Oh, was it David Goyer?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I have
know.
nothing more to say.
Perfect.
We're moving on to the Punisher trilogy, and it is a trilogy that is not really a trilogy because there are 3 films. All 3 of them are reboots. 1989 with Dolph Lundgren as Frank Castle. I watched this in preparation for this episode, and I was blown away by how good this was. Objectively, I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's pretty of its time period, but oh my God, was Dolph Lundgren amazing in this. And the plot was great. Like, it was about this mob guy who's kidnapping children to get back at Frank Castle for killing all of the other mobsters. And Frank Castle's like, I'm gonna save the children. And he goes and saves the children and kills people in brutal ways, and it was fucking awesome.
So did it not bother you that in that Punisher, they went away from the comic book? He did not have the skull on his shirt.
I'll be honest with you, never even noticed.
I like when they can do that with the characters. Like, a lot of times you envision what he's supposed to look like with a certain costume, uniform, whatever. But when they can just
when it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, maybe it's just me not caring when they change comic book characters, but I didn't even register it. I was just like, hey, this is the Punisher. And I do think it's fun seeing Dolph Lundgren, who's naturally blonde with pitch black hair. It's just so wildly different from what he normally is.
When did the next one come out? You said
2004 was the reboot with Tom Jane. This one has John Travolta as the villain, and also Kevin Nash, who's Diesel from WWF. He's also in this movie. He plays the Russian. They have a good fight scene. It's really cool.
Yeah, during that fight scene, Punisher actually stabs Nash in the collarbone with a butterfly knife. Like, actually stabs him by mistake because they forgot to switch the props. And Nash did not break character. he just kept on trucking.
That's wrestling training, man.
Yeah,
Because
I did not know he was a wrestler. So as soon as you said that, I was like, I get it.
yeah, because a lot of people know that wrestlers are trained to sell their moves. So it makes like when they take a bump or whatever, oh, this hurt, ow. But they're also trained to when they're really hurt to not sell it.
Exactly.
So not to break character. That's wrestling 101. There's one scene in The Punisher, the 2004. My brother talks about it all the time. I don't think it's that great, but there's a torture scene where the Punisher's torturing a guy, and he's talking about how he's gonna use a blowtorch and melt his skin off, and it's gonna feel so cold, or the fire is so hot, and it's gonna feel cold. And then all he does is take a popsicle out of the fridge and touch the popsicle to the guy, and the guy starts screaming and like crying. And my brother's like, it's so cool, and I'm like, it's
God.
lame. The real Punisher would use a blowtorch and fucking torch that guy.
Jeez. What about that third Punisher?
Punisher Warzone from 2008. I love this movie. So this one is a soft sequel / reboot to The Punisher from 2004. Like it continues on some things, but it's also reboot in the sense that the characters changed. They've added new elements and the actor's different. This one is played by Ray Stevenson, I believe is his name. This movie also has Wayne Knight as Microchip, who's the Punisher's comic book sidekick. And this movie is brutal as shit. It is so bloody and so amazing. And don't let the bad Rotten Tomatoes score fool you. This movie is so cool. I saw it in theaters when it came out. It's fucking great.
It surprises me that it's so good, because it was a huge flop.
Oh, huge flop. Yeah.
They spent $35 million and
Which
only made back about 10.
35 million is a tiny budget for this kind of movie too.
It very is. Yeah, it really is. This next one, a lot of people may have not even heard of, might not even know it was a Marvel movie. Came out in 2005.
That's true.
Man-Thing. I had no idea. Never heard of this.
Man-Thing is basically Marvel's Swamp Thing character. And this movie was made without Marvel allowed it, but they weren't hands-on with the project in any way. And it was made separately. It was filmed in Australia in the outback. And so by the time they were handed the movie, they kind of were like, hey, this isn't that good. We're just going to put it on Sci-Fi Channel. And so it premiered as a Sci-Fi Channel movie, which is how I saw it back in the day.
That seems fine for me, though. I mean,
yeah.
it's
something different.
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, from what I remember, it's not terrible. Like, the effects are pretty good. Like, the suit that the guy wears as Man-Thing doesn't look that great, but it's not bad. And they do some cool CGI stuff where he has, vines shooting out of his hands and stuff. So, it's not terrible.
I did read up that it was primarily CGI and crazy costume.
That's one I've been looking... I want to get the DVD of that, because I do want to watch that again. And then moving on from Man-Thing, going to our boy. The official boy of our podcast, I think, is what we...
Oh, is he?
I think we decided that. Nicolas Cage. We got Ghost Rider, directed by Mark Steven Johnson, who also directed Daredevil.
I started watching it today, actually, but then I had to turn it off because my baby needed me.
Okay.
I have a child.
I saw this one in theaters also back in the day, and it's okay. I don't think it's terrible, but...
I could tell you about the beginning.
Go for it.
Throws his dad's cigarettes in the trash.
Yeah.
Sees a crumpled up piece of paper, and it zooms in and says, "Your cancer has spread."
So Donald Logue, I mentioned he was in Blade. He's also in this movie. He plays Nicolas Cage's friend. 2 Donald Logue movies.
Also, Sam Elliott's in this, which we never mentioned, was also in Hulk.
Oh yeah, he plays Thaddeus Ross.
Yeah, so a lot of overlapping.
Yeah.
Either actors or directors or writers across these Marvel movies.
Which is, it's kind of cool because they're from different companies.
Sure.
I think Ghost Rider was Lionsgate. The first Ghost Rider, Wes Bentley is the main villain. He went on to star in the Hunger Games. And this also has a cameo appearance because it was filmed in Australia, it has a cameo appearance from Rebel Wilson. She plays a girl who's getting mugged in an alley. And
was she big into acting at that point?
She was in an Australian show called Fat Pizza that I think she was maybe the creator of or something. But yeah, she was just starting to get big in Australia at the time. And then she would later come over to America. And 2011 is when she was in Bridesmaids. And that kind of catapulted her. There's also a fun Nick Cage story about this movie. This is maybe off topic, but when he was in Australia making Ghost Rider, they gave him a custom car. It had like all these cool features of it and whatnot. But of course, because it was Australia, the driver's side was on the right instead of the left. So when production was made, he was like, "Hey, I want this car. I want to take it home with me." All right, yeah. When you get to America, we'll get you a car. We'll send it to you. And he was like, "No, I want this one." But you can't drive this in America because the steering wheel's on the opposite side. And he was like, no, 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 I want that one. So the production team had to spend like another $1 million to send this car back to America for Nicolas Cage to own, even though he couldn't drive it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage, he's a weirdo. I
This
love
movie is
him.
actually Columbia Pictures.
And then this one also had a sequel, which I saw the sequel in theaters. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, directed by Neville Dean and Taylor. Neville Dean and Taylor, they've directed the Crank movies.
I have not seen those.
I love the Crank
I
movies.
do know that the direction that is just crazy.
Oh, it's insane. They're the kind of directors that, like, if they're filming a motorcycle chase, they're on roller skates being with a rope around their chest, being towed by a motorcycle so they can film it at the speed that the motorcycle's going. It's insane. They have a couple backstage or like behind the scenes clips on the DVD of Spirit of Vengeance where they have one scene in the movie where a guy gets pulled off the side of a cliff. And so they built this giant rig with a guy attached to a rope, and the rig literally just yanks him off the cliff at like 30 miles per hour so they can get the shot. And then he just kind of dangles over the cliff there. It's crazy.
The camera guy basically went bungee jumping.
Yeah.
To get the shot.
But overall, not a great movie in any way. But there's one cool scene that I always remember where Ghost Rider pisses fire. Yeah, he unzips his pants and he pisses fire out, and it's pretty cool.
Nice.
The movie's got some cool bits, but overall kind of is really dumb and bad. It has Idris Elba, who went on to be Heimdall in the MCU, and hopefully becomes James Bond one day, because that man is very handsome.
That would be amazing. He's also...
And Christopher Lambert is in this movie, who he's best known for being Connor McLeod in Highlander, with his famous line, "Lots of different places." We got the Fantastic Four films.
And fun fact, there are 4 of these fantastic movies.
And you might be thinking to yourself, 4? But I only know of 3. The Fantastic Four from 1994 was never released as a movie. It was made by Roger Corman's production company for $1 million, and it was made purely so that the company that owned it could keep the rights to it because they were about to lose the rights. So they made the movie, never ever released it, and you can only get it through bootlegs nowadays.
Now, was that supposed to be a TV movie?
No, it was supposed to go theatrical, but they never released it. Yep. There's a documentary from 2015 called Doomed, the untold story of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. And it's a amazing documentary that goes into all the details of this production. It's fascinating. All the actors like really thought they were like, hey, we're working on something we really care about. And like, yeah, the budget's small, but we're putting our heart and soul into this movie to make it good. And like, they really went all in on this movie.
Yeah, the dedication and passion and trying to get a good movie done, not realizing that they're just going to pull the plug at the end.
Exactly, because they thought like, hey, this could be a launching point for our careers. They kind of started to figure it out because like the studio would refuse to pay for them to go to Comic-Con to promote the movie. So the main actor, the guy who plays Mr. Fantastic, actually used his own personal money to fund the entire cast and crew to go to Comic-Con to promote the movie. And like he rented space and everything for it. And immediately after doing that, they received a cease and desist letter from the studio and being like, you need to stop talking about this movie. This movie does not exist. That's one I have not seen yet, but I want to buy the bootleg eventually because I'm fascinated to see it. And then after that, in 2005 and 2007, we had the Fantastic Four and the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, both directed by Tim Story. Have you seen these?
I have not, but those were the same cast for those two. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. They're both the same series.
Yeah, Chris Evans started his Marvel career right there.
Yep, he played Human Torch. Michael Chiklis was the Thing. He's great. Jessica Alba is Invisible Woman, and Ian Gruffudd, I think is how you say his name, or Oyon, I don't know. He plays Mr. Fantastic, which before that I only knew him from 101 Dalmatians. Silver Surfer was voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, but his mocap was done by Doug Jones. Rise of the Silver Surfer actually is a better movie than the first one.
Was it?
Yeah, it's one of the rare occurrences where a sequel is better. Fun fact about the sequel is the first one was PG-13, and Fantastic Four 2 was the first Marvel movie to be rated PG.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's a fun fact. Marvel actually met with Robert Downey Jr. about playing Mr. Doom. That would have been. I feel like that could have been cool.
That would have been cool,
Yeah.
but maybe he wouldn't have gotten Iron Man because of that.
Well, I 100% agree, and so I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, but how cool would it have been if he was Doctor Doom and then Chris Evans was still Human Torch, and then they
Right.
later went on to be Captain America and Iron Man?
Well, that'd be so cool.
That'd be very, very cool. Alternate universe. And then the last movie that we are going to talk about is Fant Four Stick from 2015, directed by Josh Trank, who big fan of the guy. This movie is the worst superhero movie I've ever seen.
Fant Four Stick is actually fantastic. Four, but the four is the capital A in the middle.
It's Fant Four Stick. This movie is hot garbage. It is just a mess of a movie, and it is the most boring, dull, absolute just black hole of a movie you can ever see. It was a chore to finish this. It's literally the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. The only good thing about this movie that I really like is Michael B. Jordan as Human Torch. Another instance where they casted a black guy as a white guy, and
Sure.
people were up in arms about it. And I was like, he's the only good part of this movie. He's the only good part. Because it's nothing what the Fantastic Four is, and it just makes no sense. And they did so many reshoots on this that there's certain scenes where, like, Kate Mara is the most noticeable because, like, during filming she had a shorter haircut, and then when they did reshoots her hair's longer. So there'll be like one scene where she's talking and she's got her haircut, and then the camera will cut and cut back to her and she's got a different haircut. It's just like in the same scene. It's awful. There are two funny cameos in this movie though. Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric, he plays a teacher in this movie or something like that. And then Chet Hanks, the dumbass son of Tom Hanks, he plays Ben Grimm's brother in this movie. And to wrap this up, because it is getting late, I have a funny audition story. So Mads Mikkelsen, the very famous actor, he auditioned to be Doctor Doom in this movie. And when he auditioned, the only thing they asked him to do was to stretch his arms out as far as he could. And after doing that, they went, "All right, thanks." And that was his audition.
That's amazing.
So yeah, they really
to
knew
be-
what they were doing.
To be honest, I feel like if I had auditions, I would be like, hand me that cup. Okay, you could go home now. Just for fun.
So I think that wraps up the main topic of this episode.
Yeah, it definitely does. That was 22 whole movies.
That was fun.
It
That was a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we should do this again sometime.
I think we should. Maybe
Okay.
weekly.
Yeah. we should do a podcast.
We should.
This next segment we're calling Wheel of Verses.
Wheel of Verses.
We both chose 5 characters from the movies or topics we just discussed. Playground-like setting where we were captains. We went back and forth. This was a little fair. We did realize we made a huge mistake.
What's that?
Neither one of us chose Daredevil.
We didn't. We're bad captains. It's the opposite of gym class because the two fat guys get to pick the teams.
That's how it should be, to be honest. Okay, who's on your team?
All right, I got the Punisher from Punisher Warzone, Howard the Duck, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, Captain America 1979 from the first movie, and Man Thing.
All right, I got Hulk, Nick Fury, Silver Surfer, Blade, and Thing. So we're going to each spin the wheel once. Whoever it lands on, discuss who would win that fight. 5 rounds. We will keep tally of who wins each fight. Whoever has the most out of 5 fights at the end will be this episode's champion.
All right.
Let me know who you get.
I got Captain America 1979.
I got Nick Fury. That is a good battle in my opinion, to be honest.
I think Captain America would win. Maybe not the 79 edition.
Well, that's what the edition we're talking about. And same with me. I got the Hasselhoff, no Sam Jackson.
Honestly, you might take this. He's got guns and stuff.
He does have guns, and he's very macho. I remember in the same scene I was talking about earlier about the flushing, somebody said, like, so-and-so's alive, and he goes, "Are you sure? Because I killed him myself." And I was just like, oh,
Yeah, I think Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, would take this.
Tally one for me.
All right, I'm
All right,
spinning again. The spinner is very loud.
I have thing.
I got Ghost Rider. This would be an interesting
It
fight.
would, because it's the battle of the elements. I mean, like, one's like a fire devil.
One's a guy made of rocks.
Yeah, it just rocks.
I
uh,
I don't know. I guess maybe Ghost Rider could win this because he can do that thing where he like stares into someone's eyes and makes them see all the bad things they did in their life and then they like die. But also Ben Grimm is the nicest guy in comic books. He's like the nicest superhero. So it's like, I don't know. Who would win?
I'm not very familiar with Thing. Fantastic Four was not my favorite.
Yeah.
So does Thing like Hulk switch back, or is he Thing?
No. He's the thing 24/7.
Okay. I didn't know if he was ever a person.
No.
Because I was gonna
He's-
say if he switched back to human form, Ghost Rider would be like, gotcha. So,
Yeah. He's the one character from Fantastic Four that can't turn their powers off. And they explain that in the movie really well, at least the 2005 one. They were all inside the ship when the cosmic rays happened, but he was outside the ship, so he got exposed to more radiation. So like, I
Gotcha.
always thought that was a smart thing in the movie that they explained it, but
I think I'm gonna give it to Ghost Rider. He's got a motorcycle and chains.
I also
fire.
think Ghost Rider. I was going to say the same thing.
I feel like something to do with the chains and the motorcycle.
Yeah, crisp those rocks.
Give yourself one.
All right, I got 1 point. 1-1. It's looking like I'm getting Howard the Duck.
I got Hulk. Fun
You-
fact.
You win.
Well, we have to discuss it. Hold on. Fun fact about my spinner.
Yeah.
Randomly, Hulk is on a green spot. I like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Super random. I picture Hulk,
Yes.
Bruce Banner walking into a bar.
Okay.
There's Donald Duck. Donald Duck.
Yeah. Howard the Duck. Howard the
Where do we
Duck gets
start?
a little raunchy. He
So he
offends
walks
him.
in and he's got his cigar, and he says some snarky thing like, "What are you doing here?" And he gets all green and all Hulk like. And he walks over and Howard the Duck's like, "He went this play."
I imagine it like this. So this is Howard the Duck, right? And this is the Hulk, and he just goes, and it's like a scene in a cartoon where Howard the Duck's like head is sticking out of the ground, and he's like, "Oh, ouch."
Looking at my list, did you expect Howard the Duck to beat anyone?
I don't think so. In the comics, he's a better character, but in the movies, he doesn't do anything. Spin again. I got Man Thing.
Silver Surfer.
Oh, interesting. You definitely win because Silver Surfer's cosmic and Man Thing lives in a swamp. So you could just use lasers and space stuff to just zap the shit out of him.
And I can just like ride my surfboard around you.
Yeah. You could surf the swamp. Yeah. You technically win because you got 3 points,
Do
but
we need to spin for the last one?
no.
I'm just kidding. You can't. What can you?
Can you?
Can. Yes.
Oh, wow, you can.
It's just one name going. All
Who's it
so
going to land on?
I got Blade.
I got the Punisher. This is interesting.
Now this is. I'll say right off the bat. I personally think Punisher is stronger, muscular. Like he.
Okay,
if it
but
was a
Blade,
fist fight- if it was a fist fight, no weapons.
Blade is
No.
a half Dracula, so he
was
does
gonna
have
say-
superhuman
I was
strength.
gonna say no biting. That is true.
So I think this is interesting because Punisher mostly uses guns, while Blade has a sword.
At least in the movies, even
Yes.
though Blade Punisher is human.
Yeah.
Is he super strong just like Kingpin? Like Kingpin can take a beating. Can Punisher?
Punisher can take a beating, but he's like a human. So like if he gets shot in the leg, he's shot in the leg the rest of the
Right.
movie.
But
You know what I mean?
yeah, but Blade doesn't use guns, does he?
No, that's what I said. Blade mostly uses
No.
swords, whereas Punisher's a gun guy. So
No,
I think
does-
long range, Punisher
does-
might have this.
But does Blade have super speed, like Edward Cullen?
I don't think so. Because
Okay.
he's only half Dracula. I think he has superhuman strength and he doesn't need blood as often as a full Dracula would. But I don't know the extent of Blade's powers that well. He's not a character I'm well versed in. I think this is a toss-up. I think Punisher could take it alone on he has guns and could just shoot him.
Mhm.
I don't
I
know.
think Punisher would show up in an armored truck. Like
Oh yeah, he's got his van.
yeah, he'd just show up, take him,
He's got that minigun. And he's just like, yeah.
I think I'll give it to you. You got Punisher.
All right, you were the champion of episode 1. Yeah,
All
we
right.
gotta get a title belt. We'll spend $10,000. We'll get a custom one made.
All right, that was Wheel of Versus. I hope y'all liked it.
Wheel of Versus.
All right, I think that's a good episode.
I also think so.
I hope y'all liked it. Hope you come back for more. Like, subscribe, all that if you haven't already.
And make sure you email us at
Yes.
ourdadsarbrothers@gmail.com, sending questions, concerns, anything you want us to talk about on this podcast. We'll give you a shout out if we like your message. Go follow us on all our socials. It'll be somewhere down below or in the info. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Punk Rock Blues. Free promotion for me.
And what's tomorrow's special episode going to be of?
Tomorrow, since we are doing episode 2, our topic is sequels, but only number 2s. So no 3s or 4s or franchises.
Very cool. I'm excited for that.
Yep, and it's fun because there's the poop joke in it.
It's our second show about second movies.
Yeah. All right. I think this was a good first episode. I'm excited about this.
We have a lot of long-term committed people listening right now.
Like our grandma.
We love you, Grandma.
All right. Should we my goodness. Should we sign off?
Yes, we should.
I'll leave that all in. He's just not able to talk. It's a good way to end it.
Until next time.
All right.
I'm
Bye
Nathan
bye.
Tracy.
And I'm Bat Tracy. We're cousins and our dads are brothers.
That they are.